In this video, we're going to show you how to properly mix the metallic pigment in with your epoxy. You'll notice that the installer has already poured his metallic pigments into the epoxy resin. In this case, it was some pearl pigment as well as some titanium. You see that an electric drill is being used with a mixing paddle, and he's mixing at full speed, about 600 RPM, to mix up the metallic pigment into the designer metallic epoxy resin. It's real important that you take your time in doing this. We recommend doing it even the day before you're ready to install the floor, as this is going to help even further disperse the pigments evenly throughout the epoxy. You'll notice that he's moving the drill around slowly, making sure that he's covering all parts of the bucket. It takes a few minutes for this powdered metallic pigment to start mixing up well. It tends to want to clump together at first, but as you continue to mix, you'll see that the metallic pigment will begin to disperse evenly throughout the mix. Sometimes as you're mixing, you'll notice that some of the metallic pigments tend to clump around the edges of the bucket, so the installer here is using a paint stir stick, but you can use any type of stir stick, and he's basically scraping the edges of the bucket, making sure that he gets all of the pigment off of the edges, and then he goes back to mixing. That way none of it clumps to the sides and you don't end up with any streaking or irregularities in the finished floor. Now you notice that the mixing has been going on so far for about 2 minutes in this particular case. It may seem like a long time, but actually it's really beneficial to take your time and mix the pigments well. Unmixed pigment will actually create streaks that sometimes are not desirable in the finished floor. So we recommend that you spend 10 or 15 minutes mixing each batch of product prior to combining the A and B resin together. So again, as a reminder, you're only mixing the metallic pigment in either the A or the B part of the epoxy system. You are not combining the A and B together and then mixing your metallic pigment. Once the A and B is combined, this starts the curing process, and you will not have enough time to mix the pigment, get it on the floor, squeegee it, and roll it. So all of this is part of the prep work. It's done prior to mixing the A and B parts together. You're only mixing the metallic pigment in with either the A or the B component. We recommend 1 16-ounce jar of pigment per 3-gallon kit. This seems to be a good ratio of pigment to epoxy to give you some real dynamic looks in the finished floor. So you'll continue to mix the metallic pigments in with the designer metallic epoxy, either the A or the B side, and you'll do this for 10 to 15 minutes, and that will ensure that the metallic pigment is evenly dispersed throughout the mix. For more information, visit our website at www.epoxyplus.com.